Oh man, this is my first time examining this guy in the robot costume, but his calves look really small, and that is very surprising because this costume looks like you'd have to have freaking thunder calves in order to support it. I also like how this crowd just like comes and gathers around the costume and watches this guy do his thing, his little jig or whatever he's doing. It's pretty cool. Planet Coaster really pays a lot of attention to detail, and that's one of the reasons why it is so good. Anyways, welcome back to Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park and Planet Coaster. My name is Tyler Cedarwall, and I just want to apologize really quickly. I know it's been a little bit since the most recent episode. Quite a few things happened. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, and that took up quite a bit of my time. And then I went on a cruise for spring break. And then when I got back, I just had a lot of work to do. And at the same time, since I hadn't recorded for such a long time, it's really hard for me to get back into things after not doing it for a long time. But I finally just sat down. I'm like, okay, Tyler, you gotta work on this next episode. So here I am, I'm doing it, and we're gonna get some stuff done. And I also apologize for the delay. I really do. I feel bad. I feel really bad. That's one of the other reasons why I kept pushing it off, because I was like, dang, it's already been a long time. You know, like those situations where the longer you procrastinate something, the less you want to do it, because you just kind of feel bad for not doing it for so long, and then that just kind of like builds up more and more, just like I'm building up these rocks right now. That's kind of the situation that happened. And one other thing I want to point out that's not related to the game real fast is my smoke detector. I currently had to plug it back in for an inspection I'm having today at my house, and every like 45 seconds it makes like a small chirp noise. Now, I know the microphone probably doesn't pick it up too badly, but if you're wondering what that small chirp is, that's what's going on. I just don't have the right battery to put in it to make it not make that sound. You know, I could probably just unplug it for the video. I'm gonna do that. I don't know why I didn't even think about that. Okay, I unplugged, oh Jesus. I unplugged my fire alarm, and now it's not going off in my bedroom. I set it outside my door. It's still going off. It still chirps for like a day after you unplug it, but I just haven't had the opportunity to go to the store to buy new batteries. Since they've all been plugged in, they're all going to chirp until we put new batteries in them. It's obnoxious. And you might be asking yourself, Tyler, why don't you have your fire alarms plugged in all the time? Doesn't that seem like a fire hazard? Yes, the reason is because we have a smoke machine on my house that we use a lot, and the smoke machine makes the fire alarms go off, so we've just kind of unplugged them to avoid that from happening. Anyways, let's stop talking about my fire alarms and start actually talking about the series. So for the past 4 episodes or so, we've been working on this roller coaster. We've been putting lots of work into it, into the building that surrounds it, the line, the exit, the terrain, and it's all really coming together. Last episode, we took a small little break to add that ride right next to it, with the big claw that's spinning around next to us. It looks really nice, and I'm glad we have that in there. It's our first actual ride that's not a roller coaster. We will add more rides that aren't roller coasters, trust me, and there actually is some really cool rides. And the one thing I'm actually really excited for that they've announced is they're adding go-karts in the next update, which is going to come out on April 11th, which is just a few days. I'm super excited for that. I cannot wait to build some go-karts, because the go-karts in this game look like they're going to be very good. They're going to give free reign to the type of tracks that you create, which just gives you a lot of freedom overall, which is nice. And then the AI for the customers as they ride the go-karts is all going to be individual, and they're going to be doing lots of fun things, like they're going to skid around corners, they're going to be able to crash, they're going to actually look like they're having like a good time, unlike other roller coaster tycoon games where they kind of just go on like a predetermined looking path almost. So I'm really excited that go-karts are coming soon. That's been like one of the most requested things for some reason. And also, one thing about go-karts and theme parks that kind of pisses me off is if you ever want to ride go-karts in a theme park, you always have to pay extra money. So I've never actually ridden go-karts in a theme park. I'll actually go to a go-kart track to do that, because I don't see the point on spending extra money at a theme park to do something like that when there's more fun things like roller coasters that you can ride for free. And I mean, if I want to drive karts, I can just, you know, drive my own car. I'm an adult, so that's always an option. Anyways, one thing I want to talk about real fast is last episode, I had you guys give name suggestions for our new ride over there, and the most suggested name was the Claw, obviously from Toy Story. And even though that would be a good name, I think it's a little bit too much of an obvious name answer, and because of that, I didn't choose it. The name I ended up actually going with is the Harvester. And the guy who suggested that comment, his name is Furious, except he spelled Furious wrong. It's supposed to be spelled F-U-R-I-O-U-S, but he spelled it F-U-R-E-O-U-S, I believe. How dare you? I know you probably did that on purpose. I mean, I guess I have no room to judge because my username for like 5 years was attacking toucans, and toucans was spelled incorrectly. So I guess I can't say anything. I'm sorry for even bringing it up. My bad. So I ended up putting this spaceship on the very front of this building just to kind of add like an accent, like a detailed accent to the front. And I'm really liking like the front of this building. It's looking really fun. Now, I'm not going to put too much decoration into the back sides of the building, mainly because of the fact that you can't even really see it from the path. You can only see it from the roller coaster, and it doesn't matter too much from that side. But I just want this building to look really cool from the front side, which is pretty much how most theme parks do it. They don't decorate the back side that nobody sees. They decorate the sides that are facing the path. It's just better to invest your money on the things people actually see, and your time and your resources. Because, yeah, exactly. Anyways, the next thing that we are going to be doing is I went through and added some extra detail to the tunnels that this coaster goes through, because right now they're just like the pre-made tunnels that were created whenever we built the track through the terrain. I wanted to widen them a little bit, and then we also needed to light them up. So the very first time I added the lights, I made them all red, but then later on I switched the color to lime green because I decided lime green looked a bit more alien, and that was what I was going for. The red looked kind of more like a menacing death mountain, and I wasn't really going for a death mountain. I was going for a space mountain. There's a huge difference. You can actually take lots of college classes about the differentiation of death mountains and space mountains. You would not believe the amount of things you can learn about the differences between the two. It would blow your mind. So if you ever want to, you can master in Death Mountainology, and they offer that at almost every college, I believe. If you just ask your advisor about it. Death Mountainology is a really interesting class, and you can actually major in that, and you could actually help me in the future creating my space mountain, because you would know what separates the death mountain from the space mountain. What am I going on about? I actually don't really know, but I was just kind of talking because all we're doing right now is placing lots of rocks to really add some realism to the terrain, because I feel like if you had a gigantic rock mountain, it wouldn't just be a big perfect smooth rock. You would have rocks and chunks of rock that have fallen off over the years, and just big boulders that separate themselves, or I don't know. I mean, I took geology class, so I should know more about rocks, but overall, I don't know that much. I mean, I do. I guess if we talked about the weathering of the rocks and the way that they're cracked off from water getting in between the cracks of the rocks and then freezing and then melting, and then how that makes the rock expand and break away from each other, and how after a couple thousand years it will actually make big chunks of rock fall off. I actually learned that rocks, freezing water can actually push like 40,000 tons of force or something like that. I'm not saying this in the most scientific way because I'm just randomly trying to spout a fact from the top of my head. But yeah, freezing water is strong. And that's also why you shouldn't chew on ice cubes. Ice cubes can ruin your teeth if you chew on them too much. I know people love chewing on ice cubes, especially like after they get a drink from Sonic, and the Sonic ice cubes are all like so small and cute. You just want to chew on them forever. It's really bad for you. I wouldn't advise it. It's really bad for your teeth, and it can like really break and weather them down. And you might not notice it, but if you do it for a long time, it will destroy your teeth, and it might look like you use meth, but you're not actually using meth. You're just chewing on ice. So people will get all these misconceptions, and you'll be like, no, I don't use meth, I just like to chew ice, but nobody will believe you. They'll think of you as a meth user, but really you're just an ice chewer. And being an ice chewer doesn't sound too bad, but it's actually a really big problem that you should go and seek medical and mental help for, because it could kill you. Chewing ice could actually kill you right on the spot. Like, you might not even think about it that way, but chewing ice is the most dangerous thing you can do in the whole entire world. So just don't chew ice. Also, when I switched the lights to green, I did that off camera because all I went through and did was click on each light separately and chose a different color for them. And that took a long time, and I'm like, they don't want to see me change the color of all these lights. So yes, I changed the color of the light off screen just to kind of save a little bit of time. But now we're just going to be adding more rocks. I should probably just name this episode Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because I think placing rocks is like the main thing we're doing this episode, just because we built this gigantic rock mountain. Well, it's not a rock mountain, it's a space mountain. We established this earlier, but I guess a space mountain can also be a rock mountain. But in order for it to be a rock mountain, we'd also have to play some like Aerosmith, maybe some Metallica or something, which actually we could do that. This game gives you the ability to add your own music files into the game. And so throughout this, using the speakers, you can actually play your own personal music. I wouldn't actually play that for the series because then the videos would get copyrighted, because believe it or not, I actually don't own the rights to Aerosmith's music. I know a lot of you probably thought I was the band manager for Aerosmith, but no, that's Steven Tyler, not Tyler Cedarwall. There's a big difference. So no, I don't have the rights to that, so I'm not going to be adding Aerosmith's music, but that is something you can do if you're just playing the game on your own. So if you'd wanted to create a rock theme park, you totally could. This game gives you that option, and that is an amazing option for it to give you. And another reason why you should buy this game if you don't already own it. Another reason you shouldn't buy this game if you don't already own it is if your computer sucks. This game actually takes a pretty good computer to run well. My computer is already starting to really lag while recording this series. It does pretty fine while playing it, but while recording it, I get some pretty bad frame droppage if I'm not playing in pause mode, just because there's so many people moving around and I have so many things already built. And when I'm playing the game just like regularly, it's fine, but recording, it pretty much like doubles up the CPU usage. I'll probably actually need to upgrade my computer sooner or later, but I'm not thinking too much about that right now, even though I probably should. But real quickly, what I did is I decided to put some like decorations in between the ride and the path just to kind of separate the two out, so it doesn't seem like the coaster is like too intrusive on your own personal space, because it is 2017 and lots of people are very protective over their personal space nowadays. And so I really needed to do something to separate the personal space of the guests from the roller coaster. You guys are millennials, I'm sure you understand what I'm getting at. I don't understand what I'm getting at myself, but it doesn't matter. Also, I was kind of having an internal conflict about the thought of putting like green plants close to my space mountain, but I decided that I don't mind putting plants and stuff in my space area, even though there's usually not too many plants in outer space. But there's, first off, not really any type of space looking foliage in the game yet, and two, it just makes things look way nicer and it really helps pull things together. And so I'm kind of okay with having space area with more shrubbery. Now, the next thing to talk about is I changed the color of the roller coaster. It was white, but I changed it to lime green. That way it would pop more, because this coaster needs to pop. Snap, crackle, pop. Rice Krispies right in front of your face. And I think adding lime green as the color scheme really helps do that. It really makes it seem a lot more alien-like as well. And I also changed the color of the cart, but that's not that big of a deal. And then I didn't really show it on camera, but I did make a few adjustments to the coaster because I got a lot of complaints that the coaster moved too slow. So I raised the initial drop hill by around 10 to 15 feet, and it added actually a decent amount of more speed throughout the whole entire ride, and I think it ended up raising the intensity a little bit as well, which is good because it was actually fairly low for this ride, which is surprising because I feel like this ride looks rather terrifying from an outside perspective, but it didn't have that high of an intensity rating, so I think raising that initial drop hill was a fairly good idea. Now, while riding it, in my opinion, it almost seems like it goes a bit too fast now, but the rankings and ratings are still really good, so I think I'm just going to keep it as it is now. Now we're back to adding more rocks because that's what we're mainly focusing on this episode, and I kind of like really just like switched what I was doing every like 5 to 10 minutes while I was recording this because I could never just like decide on one thing to do. So I went back and added some more like details of the building, and I really wanted to like try to make this side look a bit more normal just because there was some really weird just like things poking out just because of the way I built it. I'm still not completely like a professional at building things in this game, so I'm still like figuring out how to make things look better. So I decided to make a small overhang just to make this the side of this building not seem so flat and boring. And I guess it kind of worked. I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, I'm not a hater either. And it's like the back side of the building that nobody sees anyways, so I'm not fretting too much. And I'm not fretting like guitar frets, but it's like, what does fretting even mean? Fretting. Like, don't fret. Is that even a word? Is it? I don't know. I'm really contemplating this now. I feel like an idiot if it's not a word. I also feel like an idiot if it is a word. I'm in a lose-lose situation right now, so I'm just gonna switch the topic. So I added some black trim around all the edges of this building to really make the edges seem a little bit more flesh, because I feel like you really need, adding edges to the buildings actually makes a huge difference on how nice the building looks. Surprisingly, it just adds that extra bit of depth to the corners of the building, because right now it's just like a seamless, like flowy edge, and I feel like that's kind of boring, but adding this little ledge just kind of makes it seem nicer. It's like there's gutters there. I wish you could actually add gutters to your buildings. That'd be kind of cool, but these are close enough. They kind of look like big, thick gutters. I'm really happy we're getting to the point where we're almost done with this ride completely, though, because I've been working on it for quite a long time now. I'm starting to get a little bit tired of it. Adding the little like finishing touches is always like the worst part, because I mean, even though it's like the most important part, because it kind of determines whether or not your ride looks good or not. Because if you don't add those finishing touches, then it will usually look pretty meh. But at the same time, they're always the hardest parts to do, because you've already kind of used all of your willpower on that ride that you want to, and you're just kind of like pushing through. But it's okay. Since I'm recording it for a series, it's always way more worth it to put in that extra bit of willpower, because it just makes the ride look way more fleshed out. I also went back through and like covered the outsides of these walls with like a new fresh coat of paint, pretty much, just so it would look a lot more smooth, because sometimes you can see the outlines of the inner walls and ceilings and stuff, and it just kind of looks icky. And then the next thing I went ahead and did is I added more decorations to the inside of the exit area, because I wanted the exit area to seem like really fun and vibrant as you left. So I put in a lot of extra detail while doing that. Some pipes, did some signage and stuff. Not signage as in like sign language, but you know, some like signs on the walls, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then in the next episode, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go through and finish kind of like filling all the holes in between the entrance of the park all the way up until that new indoor complex that we're going to be working on soon, where we're going to have like the arcade and the food court indoors and stuff. So one of the things I want to do is on that lake we have, I want to build like a restaurant that has a big like balcony that goes off of it with some tables, so people can like eat their food and stuff out there, and just have like a lakefront restaurant. I think that'd be really cool. And then we'll have like a gift shop and some other things just to fill in some of those blank spaces that we have over towards the Manhattan Project ride. And that's one other thing I keep forgetting to do. I need to put a sign at the entrance of the Manhattan Project with the name of the ride on it, because I haven't done that yet and I keep forgetting to do that. So next episode, I definitely need to do that for sure. If I forget, yell at me or something. How do you yell at somebody in the comments? I don't know, type in all capitals and call me an idiot. I think that's the best way to do that sort of thing. Also, recently, I've been getting some other like series ideas for this game. I have some other really cool theme park ideas I want to build, but I'm like, no, you need to wait and like finish your current project before you start other projects, because it's always like overwhelming to have too many projects going on. And I already have like this and Twilight Princess HD versus going on, and Twilight Princess HD hasn't actually gone up in like a month. Well, actually, I think an episode of that is going up the same day an episode of this is going up. So I guess I'm ending hiatuses on both series at the same time. That always happens to me though. I always go through like phases with my videos. I'll upload like fairly frequently, and then I guess, I don't know if I get burnt out or if I just get lazy or like a combination of the two, but then like something doesn't, like videos don't go up for a while, and that's like one of my biggest problems as a content creator, is taking like too many hiatuses. But I just do that for some reason. But I don't want to like upload too many series at once, so I'm gonna finish this series before I start my next theme park, and I'm like really excited for that theme park, because it's gonna be super duper cool, and I think like my fans will like it a lot. But I'm really happy with the way the exit for this ride turned out. It looks really poppin'. There was lots of guests in there too, like the whole tidal wave of guests, and I think it just looks really fun. Like you exit the ride and you just look like you're about to have a good time. So like pretty much the last thing we need to do on this ride to finish it up is I just need to add some final decorations inside the actual room where you get on the actual train, because right now it's just kind of a clean looking futuristic room. I'll probably keep it along the lines of that, like more clean looking, but I will still add some more details just to like polish it up. And then we need to add some more lights to the inside of this building because right now it's really dark during the nighttime. But that will be saved for a future episode because currently we have kind of exasperated this episode. We're at our 20-minute mark, and that means we have to go. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park in Planet Coaster. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next episode, and I will not make you wait as long for the next episode, I promise. Bye!